Most people think transformation takes time, but the truth is, time isn't the barrier, identity is. And you don't just become your best self after you get the life that you desire. You get the life by becoming your best self, by aligning to that frequency. And what neuroscience shows us is that your brain doesn't change when circumstances change. Your brain changes when your self-concept changes. So until you shift your self-concept and jump into this new identity, you're just repeating the past. You're not moving towards your future self. You're just repeating the past. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another video. My name is Danny, and on this channel, we talk about bettering ourselves from the inside out. So if bettering yourself is something you're into, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video with me. Let's look at the neuroscience of the time collapse. As we spoke about in my last video, our brain is constantly predicting reality. And it doesn't see what's actually there, it sees what it wants to see. It sees what it expects to see. So what this actually means is that your nervous system and your identity are filtering your future. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about when you emotionally rehearse something repeatedly, your brain wires it as something real. And the famous saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. So when you're emotionally rehearsing things like doubt and fear, unworthiness, waiting, hesitation, all of these things, you are then training your brain, this is who I am. And this is what I want to get across to you about the quantum, is that we are going to put into our reality everything that we expect we are. So if we are always running off fear and doubt and unworthiness, then that is just going to continuously perpetuate itself, because neurons that fire together wire together. This is very important to understand, that when we have that emotion and that thought that go together, that is wiring it into our brain. So it's time to make that shift into something more positive and something that's going to benefit you. Time collapses when you emotionally commit to a new identity before reality confirms it. That's what's going to break that loop. This is why I keep saying that neurons that fire together wire together, but also like attracts like, right? So when you're feeling terrible about yourself, when you're feeling bad about yourself and about your life, that is always what you're going to get. You can't just jump out of that energy of like, I'm feeling bad, my life sucks, everything's horrible, and then just expect all these blessings to come to you. What you need to do is shift out of that really chaotic, just really gross feeling and find things to make you feel good. Find ways to emotionally rehearse those good feelings, because that's how you're going to switch your identity. That's how you're going to break that loop. Let's look at the psychology. Why most people stay stuck. Esther Perel is a psychologist. She's also an author, and she's well known for a lot of amazing words and theories that she's put out. And Esther Perel teaches us that people don't resist change because they don't want it. People resist change because it threatens their identity, it threatens their belonging, and it threatens their safety. Because we have to remember, your nervous system is loyal to what's familiar and not what's better. As I said in my last video, your nervous system is always going to choose that familiar chaos over the peace and the something that you absolutely need, right? Because it's always going to choose what's familiar. So if struggle feels familiar, then peace is going to feel unsafe. If chaos is normal, calm is going to make you feel so bored out of your mind. It's going to feel boring. If inconsistency feels safe and like it's home, then stability is going to feel like something you've never experienced before. It's going to feel so foreign to you. So the brain is going to always keep recreating what it knows. And this isn't because it's something good. This is because it's something predictable. And as we said before, the brain is constantly predicting things. It's constantly predicting everything around it. So stepping into this new identity, you're going to have to break that loyalty with your old self. You're going to have to cut ties. And if you think about this, when you think about, say, for example, you have a new gym that you're going to. Say you want to start going to the gym, you want to start lifting weights, but you're not somebody who usually works out. Maybe you do a couple things at home. Maybe when you were younger, you did some workouts, or maybe you're just getting into it, right? It's going to feel very uncomfortable to go to the gym, sign up for the membership, even test it out for a couple days. It's going to feel super uncomfortable doing the workouts and using machines and trying to find things that make you feel good wearing them to the gym. Then you're going to get into, oh my gosh, now how am I supposed to walk here? What type of shoes are best? I see all these people wearing certain outfits. Should I be wearing those outfits? Like, everything's going to get into your mind, and it's going to feel very, very different. It's going to feel very unsafe because it's new. It's something new. Your brain is predicting that you're not moving your body this way. You're not going to a foreign space somewhere that feels uncomfortable where people could stare at you. You're not doing something, moving your body in a specific way that you've never done before, or trying out machines that you have no idea how to use them. So when you think about that, your brain is obviously going to pick for you to stay at home and either do something at home or just don't do anything at all, because it wants that familiarity. It wants something that feels peaceful, right? Something that it can predict. But as soon as you break that loyalty with your old self and you jump into the gym and you start doing things that you haven't done before, it starts at the gym, then it goes on to the wardrobe, and then it goes on to the health and wellness of it. And then next, you're trying new classes. Maybe you're joining a run club. Things expand because you're cutting ties with that old self that your brain was so in sync with and trying to keep you stuck. Didn't know that it was keeping you stuck, but it was keeping you in a familiar reality. So if you're trying to shift your identity, which I hope that you are, I want you to get into this idea of, I can do it. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some time, but I know that I can do this to make this shift, cut ties with my old self, let go of it, and try something new. Let's take a look at the spiritual layer of this. Why does it feel so hard? Spiritually, this is going to be an ego death phase. And I know it sounds scary, but it's something that is so necessary in stepping into that new identity. When you have this ego death, this is when you don't fully feel like your old self. So you're in this weird limbo stage where it's like you don't feel like the old you, but you're not quite feeling like the new you, and nothing externally has shifted to really prove anything to you. And this is where a lot of people will quit because there's no validation, there's no proof, there's no dopamine. But energetically, this is the exact moment that reality is reorganizing. This is your cocoon phase where you're in your cocoon and you're about to shed into this beautiful butterfly. You cannot abandon yourself here. This is when you have to lock in the most and stay as consistent as you possibly can, because this is where the shift begins and this is where you collapse those timelines. How do we actually collapse timelines? So let's get into this. A couple steps. Number one, you commit before you see proof. Stop waiting for evidence to show up to feel different. Feel it first and then you'll see it. Let's reference back to the exercising. When you start to work out, you immediately start feeling internally different. You feel like, I am someone who works out. I am someone who goes to the gym. I am someone who moves my body. The scale might not necessarily have shown me anything yet. I might not have seen anything in my external, but I know internally I feel so good. I feel like I have so much more energy, and I'm having that confidence in myself because I know I could do it. So you want to feel it first before you see it. Number two, act as your best self in small ways. I am a fan of doing small shifts to align to your best self because I feel like it's a lot easier than just jumping in both feet. Now, if you can do that and that makes you feel better to do something like that, long term, it's a lot easier to do small shifts daily and add and habit stack on top of that and stack on top of that. It's a lot easier to stay consistent with small habits. And this doesn't have to be dramatic and it doesn't have to be performative, but things that you can ask yourself to get into touch with that new identity that you're shifting into is ask yourself, how does she speak to herself? How do they walk into a room? How do they make decisions? How do they choose partners? How do you spend your mornings or your evenings? Once you have an idea of how you would answer these questions and what your answers are, and add more questions in there, you can go on Pinterest and you can find so many journal prompts for changing your self-concept and changing your identity and just getting really in depth and in touch with what it is that you want to shift. You can find so many of those on Pinterest, but the point here is to have the idea of what you're shifting into and then take those actions as if. So, for example, how does she walk into a room? I know that there was a time in my life where I would walk into a room and I'd be like, I'd probably fold my arms and be like, oh, I just don't want to be here. I feel super uncomfortable depending on where I'm at. And now when I walk into the room, my shoulders are back, my head is held high, I make eye contact, I might smile, and I'm scanning the room to show that I'm okay to be here. I deserve to be here. I will take up space being here, and it makes me feel very confident. This in turn locks in with my self-concept that I am a confident woman. Number 3, break the loyalty with your old identity. One thing I want you to remember here is that this is not betraying yourself by changing, right? Sometimes we have this locked in so hard, like that's just who I am. That's just who I've always been. But the thing is here is that if you want to elevate and align to a new frequency and shift your identity and shift those timelines, jump into a different timeline, collapse those timelines, you have to realize that what you're doing is clearly not working. So that is why we have to break that loyalty to our old self and shift into our new self-concept, because this means you are honoring your future self. Number 4, regulate instead of force. This isn't about hustle. This is about safety. We always want to make sure we're feeling very safe in our bodies. That's why I'm such a huge advocate, and this is why all signs point to making sure you're honoring how you're feeling in your body. And this is why a lot of times you'll hear me say go from your head to your body, because in order to feel what's going on, you have to really know how to be in touch with your body. So sometimes that does mean putting your hand on your chest and your hand on your stomach and taking those deep breaths. Sometimes it means shaking out that bad energy and closing your eyes and centering into your body. Find ways to really feel into your body so you can understand what's going on. Why am I feeling so dysregulated right now? And not forcing yourself to be positive when you just aren't feeling right. Your body needs to understand that it's safe to make these shifts. So slow down, take the breaths, be gentle, and expand, because if you have that trust in yourself that you can do this, your brain is going to allow you to expand. So we're going to recap what to do. Emotionally rehearse your future daily. These are those questions that we ask. How does he or she spend her morning? How do they spend their evenings? How do they walk into a room? Those type of things. Now that you have answers to those things, rehearse it daily. Choose one identity-based action per day. So does the woman or the man that you're becoming, how do they dress? Okay, dress like that. How do they walk in the room? Okay, do that. Do they go to the gym every single day? Start making those shifts, start figuring out how you can incorporate the movement every single day. It's just so important to think about this, and you do want to speak as that highest self, show up as that highest self, walk as your highest self, decide with that intention in your mind, what would my highest self decide in this moment? Calm your nervous system, and there is a lot of information. I know I've given a lot of information, but there's a lot of information on the internet, on TikTok, for you to be able to calm your nervous system and release attachments to timelines. So allow yourself to release those old timelines so you can step into the new timeline. What not to do. Don't obsess over when, because when is not important. What is important is focusing on feeling regulated. Don't keep explaining your past. Don't look at someone and be like, oh, this is how I used to be, but it's because blah, 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 blah. Like, allow it to be, that's how I was. It's not how I am today. So that's all you need to know. Don't wait for permission. That we don't need anybody else's permission. We have our own, and that is good enough. And don't perform growth, embody it. So we're not going to be out here pretending like we're something. We're going to actually be something. So we're not going to pretend like, yeah, I go to the gym. Yeah, I do this. I move my body. We're going to actually do so that way we can embody it. You don't need more time. You need a new self-concept. And the moment your nervous system feels safe holding more, reality reorganizes itself. We are not going to chase timelines. We are going to become them. This information is so crucial and so important to know, and it's changed my life drastically, and it continues to do so because I want to continue to collapse timelines, find new amazing identities, and align to my best self. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you gained a little bit more insight about the quantum and how important it is to shift your self-concept and release those old timelines. So don't forget to get your copy of my book. It's called Full of Yourself, a guide to becoming your most audacious self. It's available on Amazon, but I will link it in the description box below. And I will put my Instagram right here on the screen if you have any questions or you just want to say hi. I would love to have a conversation with you there. And again, thank you so much. And until next time, love yourself boldly and live audaciously. Bye.